After my wife's affair shattered our marriage, I quietly rebuilt my life, one walk, one moment, and one unexpected connection at a time. She thought I'd wait. She thought I'd crumble. Instead, I found peace in someone who saw me for who I really was. This is how I moved on, without needing revenge. She came home smelling like someone else. That's what did it. Not text, not lipstick stains, not the sudden late nights. Just that faint, floral scent clinging to her collar as she leaned down to kiss my cheek like everything was fine. It wasn't her usual smell. Rachel always wore something woodsy and warm. This was sharper, lighter, too young for her, honestly. You change your perfume? I asked as I handed her the wine glass. Just a sample from Sephora, she said without looking up from her phone. She hated samples. Always said they felt greasy on her skin. But I just nodded. Let go. Because at that point, I didn't want the answer. I wasn't ready for it. I still wanted to believe we were okay. We'd been married nearly 10 years. A decade of little routines, Saturday grocery runs, dumb inside jokes about reality, shows we pretended to hate, her stealing fries off my plate when she swore she wasn't hungry. I thought those things meant something. I thought they were still happening for both of us. Then the late nights started. First, it was work. Then it was traffic. Then it was this guy, Jordan, a client she mentioned a little too often. Jordan needs the mock-up by tomorrow, she'd say, pulling off her earrings while checking her email. Or, Jordan's such a perfectionist. He hated the font I used. She always said his name like she was trying to sound casual. Breezy. Like he didn't matter. But he did. I just didn't know how much yet. It's funny how the mind works when you're trying not to see something. I convinced myself it was stress, burnout, a creative rut. Even blamed myself a little. Maybe I hadn't been present enough. Maybe I'd gotten boring. Then I found the earrings. Gold hoops with tiny diamonds. Tucked halfway under the passenger seat of her car when I borrowed it one Saturday to take my niece to practice. They weren't her style. Rachel liked big, bold jewelry, stuff that made a statement. These were subtle, romantic, the kind of thing someone gives when they're trying to impress, not overwhelm. When I asked her about them, she didn't even flinch. Oh, must have fallen out of my gym bag. She hadn't stepped foot in a gym in years. Later that week, she wore them to dinner like she'd forgotten a lie. When I said something, she just smiled and said, I figured I might as well wear them again. The crack had formed, and now it was widening. Not explosive, just steady. Quiet. Like water seeping into drywall. 2 weeks later, I followed her. I didn't plan to. But when she left that Thursday, saying she had a client meeting across town, something in me moved before I could stop it. I got in my car and drove a few lengths behind her the whole way, watching her taillights blink through the late afternoon haze. She didn't go to an office. She went to a loft. One of those trendy industrial ones with exposed brick and soft lighting. I parked across the street and watched her knock. A man, tall, smug-looking, wearing joggers like he'd been lounging around all day, opened the door and kissed her before she even stepped inside. I didn't stay long, just long enough to feel everything inside me drop, like someone had cut a string holding me upright. I drove home in silence. Didn't turn on the radio, didn't scream, just let it settle. She came home that night like nothing had happened. Kicked off her shoes, dropped her bag on the table, and started talking about dinner plans. I was sitting on the couch. Her wedding ring was in a small ceramic dish in front of me, one she'd made during a pottery class we took our second year married. What's that? She asked when she saw it. I didn't raise my voice, didn't cry, just said, I saw you. With him. For a second, she didn't move. Her mouth opened like she was about to talk, then she just sat down across from me instead. I watched the excuses run through her head. She looked like someone rifling through a drawer, trying to find the least dirty shirt. It wasn't serious, she said finally. I didn't respond. It was stupid. I was lonely. That one hit me. Harder than the affair. The way she turned it back on me, as if I'd left her drifting. You were lonely? I said. In this house with me, every day? She started crying. Or at least trying to. Tears didn't quite come, but her voice cracked in the right places. She told me it didn't mean anything. That I was a good man. That she'd made a mistake. I didn't need to hear any of it. I already knew. The next morning, she packed a bag and moved into her sister's. She said she'd come back for the rest of her stuff. Most of it is still in boxes in the garage. She left them like she thought we might pick up where we left off. We won't. The divorce was civil. Quick. She didn't fight me on anything. Maybe she was ashamed. Maybe she wanted to keep the door cracked open. Who knows? I didn't go scorched earth. Didn't post online. Didn't text her some final speech I'd rehearsed in the shower. I just moved forward, one quiet step at a time. I started walking our dog Bruno alone in the evenings. Longer and longer walks. down by the lake. Past houses with warm lights in the windows and people laughing inside. I'd listen to music I hadn't played in years. Eat frozen dinners. Sit in silence. It was like relearning my own life. Like waking up in a body you used to love but forgot how to live in. That was 9 months ago. Rachel cheated, lied, and probably thought I'd spend the next few years bitter, broken, chasing closure that would never come. But something happened that she didn't see coming. I met someone, and it changed everything. We met at a bookstore. Not some rom-com setup with spilled coffee and hands brushing over a first edition. Just a quiet Wednesday, tucked between the psychology aisle and the staff picks display. I was flipping through a paperback I'd already read twice when she walked past me, paused, and picked up the same one from the other end of the shelf. "You've read that?" she asked, nodding at the cover. "Twice." She smiled. "Worth it." I shrugged, still figuring that out. She laughed, the kind of laugh that doesn't beg for attention. Soft, real. Then she said something about how the author overused similes and kept walking. That should have been it. Just a quick, forgettable exchange. But I kept thinking about her the whole drive home. Her voice. The way she looked me in the eye like she wasn't in a rush to be somewhere better. A week later, I saw her again. Same store. She remembered me. Asked if I ever figured the book out. I told her no. We ended up talking for 20 minutes in the nonfiction section, surrounded by biographies and cookbooks. Her name was Anna. She was different. Not in some cheesy, manic pixie dream girl way, just grounded. Quiet confidence. No flirty smiles for the sake of it. No trying to impress or perform. She wasn't trying to be liked. She just was. At first, I held back. I was polite, careful. Burned hands don't reach for the stove again. But she was patient. Kind. She didn't push. We started walking together. She liked the lake too. Sometimes she brought her camera and snapped photos of the water or the way the light hit the trees. I liked watching her work, how focused she got. Like the rest of the world didn't matter when she was in her zone. The first time she came over, she asked about the boxes in the garage. I told her the truth. My ex-wife's stuff. She left it here. Anna didn't pry, just nodded and asked if I want to help moving them. Not to the trash. Just somewhere else. So I could breathe. We did it that Saturday. Labeled them. Sealed the ones that weren't already half-packed. She played music while we worked. Bruno curled up on the porch and slept in the sun. When it was done, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. The kind that sinks into your bones and stays there. She didn't fix me. That's not what this is. But she didn't make me feel like I had to be broken, either. And maybe that's what healing actually is. Someone seeing all your cracks and not rushing to fill them. Just letting them be there. Rachel texted the following week. Just a simple, "Hey, hope you're doing okay." I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. Then I didn't. 3 days later, she texted again. "Saw your post with Bruno. You look good." I hadn't posted anything of myself in months. Then I remembered Anna had shared a photo on her story. One of me and Bruno walking near the water, silhouetted in the golden hour. I guess Rachel saw it. That night, she called. I let go to voicemail. Her voice was shaky. Forced casual. "I was just thinking about you. About us. I hope. I don't know. Maybe we could catch up sometime. Talk." I deleted the message without listening to the rest. It's not that I hated her. I didn't. But I had nothing left to give her. No anger. No pain. Just distance. And I liked the way that felt. A few days later, she showed up at my door. No warning. Just rang the bell like we were still something. Bruno barked once and then whined. He always liked her. I opened the door. She looked different. Tired. A little thinner. Like life wasn't going the way she thought it would. "Hey," she said, small and soft, like the last 9 months hadn't happened. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "I texted you," she said. "I know. I was just hoping we could talk. Just talk." I didn't say anything. She took a breath. "I made a mistake, you know. He's not who I thought he was." I nodded. That tends to happen when you build something on a lie. Her face twisted for a second. Hurt, maybe, or guilt. I couldn't tell. "I miss you," she said. I believed her, but I didn't feel anything back. No ache, no longing, just an echo of what used to be. "You don't have to forgive me," she added quickly. I thought we had something worth saving. I thought about all the nights I spent wondering the same thing. Wondering if I was crazy, if I was boring, if I was somehow responsible for her drifting away. I thought about Anna, her steady voice, her quiet eyes, the way she never once made me feel like I had to earn her attention. And I thought about myself, about how far I'd come from the man who sat in silence on that couch, while Rachel tried to explain why she blew our life up. I looked at Rachel now and said, simply, "We did, but not anymore." Her lip trembled. She nodded like she was trying to be strong, but I could see the cracks. She left without saying anything else. I stood in the driveway for a while after she drove off, watching the dust settle in the air. The sun was starting to dip behind the trees. Everything smelled like fresh grass and early summer. Anna texted, "Pizza or Thai?" I smiled. "Surprise me." I wrote back. A few weeks after she showed up at my door, Rachel emailed me. Not a text, not a call, an actual email, like we were strangers again. The subject line was blank. The body just said, "I'm sorry for everything. I thought I wanted more. Turns out I just didn't know what I had." I didn't reply, not because I was trying to punish her. I just didn't need anything from her anymore. Not an apology, not closure. She was finally saying all the things I used to beg for in my head back when the silence between us had weight. But now that it was here, it felt empty, like someone returning a gift that had already been opened, used, and broken. Instead, I opened my window, let the breeze, let pass through me. Life moved on, and then I took things slow. There were no grand declarations, no talk of forever, just coffee on the porch, her bare feet on my dashboard during Sunday drives, shared playlists, long silences that didn't feel heavy. She had this way of making space for things without needing to fill them. I never realized how rare that was. One night, we were sitting by the lake. The air was cool, and she was wearing this oversized sweatshirt that swallowed her arms. She leaned against me and said, "You always look like you're halfway between peace and caution." I laughed. "That obvious?" She nodded. "But I like it. You pay attention to things most people rush past. Maybe that's what heartbreak teaches you, how to notice again, how to slow down." I didn't trust love the way I used to, but I respected it more. I knew what it could cost, and I knew what it was worth when done right. One Saturday morning, Anna noticed a letter in my mailbox. Handwritten, no return address. I already knew who it was from. I opened it while standing barefoot in the kitchen. "I saw your photos. You seem happy. I really do hope you are. I'm not writing to win you back. I just wanted to say I wish I'd chosen differently. Not because of how it turned out, but because I finally see what I broke." There was more, but I stopped reading there. I folded it neatly and placed it in the drawer with the takeout menus. Rachel wasn't trying to crawl back. She was just trying to hand off a regret like a baton. I didn't take it. 1 year passed. She didn't text anymore. I heard from a mutual friend that things with Jordan had fizzled out fast. Apparently, he bailed when things got real. Mortgage talk, weekend errands, fights about laundry. Rachel was alone now, or dating someone else. I didn't care. Not out of spite, just genuine indifference. That's how I knew I'd moved on. I got promoted at work. Nothing flashy, but enough to feel like I was building something again. Anna was there when I got the call. She brought home a small chocolate cake and wrote, "You're not a disaster," on it in messy icing. I think that was the first time I cried in front of her. Not because of the cake, because it was the first time in years someone celebrated me without needing me to perform for it. We still take Bruno on long walks. Sometimes we talk the whole time. Sometimes we don't. The silence feels like home now. There's this bench we always pass, facing the lake. One evening, we stopped and sat there. The sun was dipping low, throwing orange across the water. She turned to me and said, "Do you ever miss her?" It took me a minute to answer. "Not really," I said. "I think I missed the version of me that believed her. But he's gone now, and I like who took his place." She didn't say anything, just leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm not telling this story because I want sympathy, or because I need people to hate my ex. I don't. She did what she did, and for a long time, it wrecked me. Not because I couldn't live without her, but because I had no idea how to live as just me again. But I figured it out. One walk, one quiet dinner, one kind person at a time. The truth is, Rachel's affair was a gift in the ugliest wrapping paper imaginable. It forced me to stop coasting, to confront the parts of myself I'd muted for the sake of keeping the peace. It shook me awake. And yeah, she panicked when she saw me happy without her, when she realized I didn't wait around, hoping she'd come back different. But by then, it didn't matter. I didn't move on to prove anything. I just moved on. And sometimes, that's the best in